Yeah. And we're live.
You want a live stream? Well, you got a live stream. Arr! Sheridan. That's what we're talking about today. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Zocalo. I'm in a mood. How are you, Norm?
I'm in a great mood. I'm so excited that we're doing it at this new time slot. Believe it or not.
Yes, I'm super stoked because, I don't know, I always feel like evenings are a better time to just relax, pull up some brevade, have a good conversation, and that's the perfect way to wind down what I hope was a good weekend for everybody.
I hope so, too. And I'm glad that it's not a rush, like people kind of like choosing between like giving up their Sunday mornings, including ourselves.
You know what? I actually got to sleep in this morning.
Say it isn't so.
No, for real, though. The cats, as much as they let me sleep in, because they're kind of jerks and they like their rituals, and I don't know, they like to be fed in the morning.
Well, for those of the audience that are going to either be watching it tonight or will be watching it later on YouTube, tell us a little bit about what we're doing here, Char. Why are we here? Who are you? Why are we here? What are we doing?
Okay, who we are. Well, I'm Char. You're Norm. We are the hosts of the Zocalo, where we talk about anything and everything related to our second favorite thing in the whole universe, and that is Babylon 5.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. We've been actually doing this for a while. And
a year.
Has it been a year already?
Oh, yeah. We eclipsed a year in September.
Wow.
I know.
Everything, you know what, Char? Nothing's the same anymore.
Well, with our new time slot, and we're revamping kind of the structural outlet of the Zocalo, I'd say that is our transition into season 2 now. Yes?
I think so. Yeah. You know, there has been some consternation on Facebook when our Facebook group was active. I have deactivated it because, you know, we're going into different formats now. And, you know, there have been some hemming and hawing. I mean, I think that's natural. But at the end of the show, we're going to talk a little bit more about like what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what we think it's going to do for improving our viewership and creating a little bit better environment for our fans.
Indeed. So we're going to close the show with that. And excuse me, got some frogs in my throat, apparently.
You know what's really good for getting those frogs to chill out?
What's that?
Brevade.
Hey, I like the way you think, sir. That's another advantage of evening podcasts is Sunday morning. I never felt right drinking alcohol before noon on a Sunday.
Oh, we're drinking alcohol?
Those days, I would just drink soda or coffee.
Yeah, right, coffee.
But it's after 5 p.m. now, baby. Let's go.
Hashtag Valtu.
Valtu.
Now, some of you may notice on our new logo that we have the hashtag we were trying to figure out like where our branding's going and what we think is significant to us. So Valtu is very significant to us. Very significant.
It is. You and I have had so many conversations about Babylon 5 over Brevari, many of which contributed to the creation of the Zocalo. And we thought that's our common thing. That's you and me, man. That's what this is all about.
And we're wearing purple because we're both stunning in purple.
We are.
Valtu is a Centauri toast, and we're having Brevari. So I don't know about you. I can't get my hair any higher than this right now, but you know, I think
I don't know if I have enough hairspray for that, man.
Well, you know, you would actually have to be bald.
Shh. I'm not doing that.
and if we're going to start a new Centauri revolution, who knows? Maybe Veer's, you know, he's changed things. You never know.
Hey, it's a completely different regime. As far as I'm concerned, Veer changed a lot and for the better. He probably started whole new trends.
It's very well possible. And that's something we may consider looking at later down the line. But tonight is about one man and
with
one
the
man
gravelly
only.
Voice.
It's about Sergeant Slaughter. No, just kidding.
No, it's about the story about Sergeant Slaughter. Yes, and if you're following us on TikTok, you've seen little snippets of Sheridan's speeches that we've been using to tease. That's something that we're going to do. That's one of the new things that we're trying just to see, I don't know, if it gains a following. We're having fun with it. We hope you are too. We'd love to see you join us. I know TikTok is kind of like a newer platform. It's for a younger crowd. Like I feel anybody over 30 is like, oh, what's TikTok? But there's a huge audience base there. We're going to see what happens when we reach out if people reach back. And if you want to see just stupid shenanigans with action figures, that's the place to go. But we also will link on Reddit, on our message board. And if you're not joining us there, that's a good place to check out all the stuff for the Zocalo. If you want to talk with the fellow Zocaloites, is that a word? It is now.
Yeah, we got to figure that one out. I was typing this up in Twitter when I was doing the update, and you have Trekkies, Trekkers, Trekkors. You have all your different fan nicknames. I don't know what we call Zocaloians. Zocalins?
We're taking suggestions, I think. Yeah. We'll figure it out. Yeah, speaking of which, let's say hi to those of us who have joined us in our new time slot. Hello, Terry Lynn, Colorado. Hello, Slice of Sci-Fi. Hello, John Bauer Socks. It's good to have you all here.
And thanks for making the transition. I know it probably wasn't easy and it probably wasn't comfortable, but we appreciate you doing that for us because
I know, change, a lot of change going on with the Zocalo right now. Just as when Sinclair got swept away to Minbar and we have a new captain, we figured let's just do it all now, make it a clean thing, and off we go.
A clean thing.
So thank you guys. Clean thing.
So I want to do a little product promotion, if you don't mind.
Oh, please go ahead.
Because some people, they may be on the fence about getting certain products. So when I pick up a product, I like to actually talk about it and maybe assuage people's fears about what they're getting. Okay. So I got this freaking tome.
Ooh, pretty. So now in paperback.
So this is the Babylon 5 Encyclopedia. It is monstrous. This is both volumes of the B5 books encyclopedia. It is, if you can see that, enormous. It's black and white. But that's okay because this is just a reference piece. It's there so that you can sit with your morning breviary and kind of flip through references. I try and read a page a day. I'm up to page 1.
Oh, good for you, Norm.
Hey, you got to make progress.
It would be really fun just to randomly open up to a page and see what's there and just read through it.
There's some weird stuff. I mean, it's just neat to have and speaking to the collector in myself, maybe in yourself, and all of us, I like having this kind of like what we call in sword fighting a beater version, which means you don't touch your shiny version, right?
Exactly. Because you and we got the hardcover when they came out.
Yeah.
I rarely touch that thing. I'm going to preserve that baby. It's going to be on my shelf and it's going to be there for all time. If I need to look up reference material, honestly, I do the online version. It's all there. This here, you could dog ear it. You can write notes in it. You can, indent pages, do whatever you want to it. And I feel like, you know what? That's great for what this needs to be.
See, I need to do that to this volume because I am horribly plagued by OCD. So once I crack the seal on turning it into a reference book, I'll dog ear it. I'll put my sticky notes on it. I'll highlight it and all that kind of stuff. But right now, it's kind of semi-precious, I guess. It's kind of like
a semi-precious. Is it still too pretty?
It is. And I really got to do something with it, run over it with my car or, put a coffee ring on it like the Book of Jaquan.
I feel like that's step 1. Get a coffee stain on it and then anything goes.
That's what I need to do. I need to do the Book of Jaquan. John Bauer Stocks says page 1, you were a slacker, man. Get on it. I am.
Do you know what it takes to get Norm to read, John? I mean, we tried at the very start of the year to do a book club. Do you think it ever happened? Nah.
Nope. Not yet. But the year is still young, right?
No, it's
not really.
No, sweetheart. We're near the end of October.
I know. That's so crazy.
It's gone by fast, really fast.
So, Shara, what do you say we jump into one of our second favorite people in the universe?
Second favorite? Who's the first?
I think we all have first favorite people.
Well, it's got to be our significant others, respective, right?
Wait, I have to say that if anyone's interested in this mug, I don't know where it came from, but I'll have to ask Carol because she got this for me for Christmas. And then I got you one.
Yes, you did. And I have it downstairs. And had I known you were going to bring yours out, I would have put my drink in mine, but maybe next week.
I know. I gotta keep you on your toes. I'm a surprise guy that way. Yeah.
Indeed. So tonight You and I both compiled lists of our favorite signature speeches from John J. Sheridan. I have a feeling we're going to have some duplicates, but you know what? That's okay, because I have a list of more than 10. And in an hour, which we don't even have an hour now, we got to keep things rolling.
All right. So let's jump right into it, Char. What do you have for... Now, these aren't ranked, right? We chose not to rank them.
Right, because I started out kind of trying to do that, and no, that was too hard. That blew a few fuses in my brain. I was just, I can't do this, because I love a lot of Sheridan's speeches for very different reasons. It's like asking a parent to pick their favorite kid. Well, you love them all for who they are and what they mean and why they needed to be there. That's just, with these speeches, it's just, no. We don't need to do that. So, in no particular order.
Yeah.
Let's lead off with a classic, shall we?
Okay.
All right. How about in season 4, Sheridan coming back from the dead and addressing everybody in the Zocalo. Hey. And he says, I'll read it. I went to Zahadum. I've seen the face of the enemy. They're not gods and they're not indestructible. I fought them and I've killed many of them and I've survived. There is a way out of this, a way to stop this insanity once and for all. Delen's fleet is a start. Now we have to build on it. Together, we will form the largest fleet in history, not just for a battle, but to change the shape of the galaxy, and not just for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children. You tell your governments that the only man to survive Zahadum sends this message. We can end this, not just for now, not just for the next 1,000 years, but forever. I stand before you as proof that it can be done. We can fight and we can win, but only if we do it together. Can I count on you?
Oh my God, I have chills. Like if I shut my eyes, I thought I'd be on the Zocalo. I would be looking up at you on that bridge.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. Whatever you say.
Or perhaps I would be Garibaldi just being all like, nah. Or Lanier being like, really? I was like this close to working things out with Delen. Then, he came back from the dead.
Nope.
Got no chance now. No shot.
Yeah, Lanier, you stand no chance against somebody who can come back from the dead, sweetheart. Sorry. As much as I love Lanier,
not a lot of people
that should have been maybe that was his cracking point, to be honest.
Is this one of your top favorite speeches?
It's definitely up there.
I loved it in your TikTok where you raised the action figure's hands. It's like, he goes, we must stand together. Yay.
Yeah, because his arms are out, and with the action figure, they had to be like this, but I did the best I could.
The interesting thing about that speech, before I jump into mine, is that that's the one flashback that Sheridan had when he was leaving for Beyond the Rim. It was that particular moment.
So, key moment. Yeah?
Yeah, key moment.
We're having flashbacks. Super important. Now, you got to tell me this was on your list.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it has to be on your list because it's kind of like, it's very messiah-ic, right?
Yeah, it is.
He came back, he went, or when it comes to Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, if people haven't read Joseph Campbell's book, The Mythology of Heroes, I believe that's what it's called, or the heroic journey, it's the Greek mythological path of going into the labyrinth, going into shadow, going into the darkness, and then climbing out into the light, transformed because of what happened in that particular part of the journey. And for Sheridan, that was it. I mean, he hit rock bottom and he,
literally,
he became transformed. He became something more than the Sheridan that we knew. He wasn't the same anymore.
Yeah. Right? Oh, definitely. He definitely changed. Right. Yeah. How can he not?
For a variety of different reasons. I mean, he changed physically because he only now has 20 years of energy left in his body.
Yes.
Before sleeping in light. And then he changed, I think, philosophically because he was now really spearheading this crusade.
For real. And that's where he and Garibaldi started parting ways. And while Garibaldi has a point, I mean, Sheridan is the hero kind of for a reason here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty significant when it comes to the meaning behind that speech. My choice for one of my favorite speeches is it's not so much a speech as it is more of a validation or a conviction or something that is just so signature Sheridan. And it was in Intersections in Real Time when he's being being cross-examined by the Inquisitor, and he talks about, maybe history is fluid. Maybe it can be changed.
This is on my list too. Right?
So it's that scene where he says, can you make a difference? Can you stand up?
Fight the system?
Can you fight the system? Every time I say no.
The way he says that. Mm-hmm. God, that's power. That rings in my mind at least once a day as I'm reading the news.
Yeah.
At least.
And
on certain weeks where we're having a lot of things going down, but it's exhausting.
The thing is that in that episode, there's another part where he's talking to Adrazi, and he says that, we can win as long as you say no one more time. He goes, as long as you say no one more time, then they try to make you say yes.
Right.
And that's Sheridan. He's always about, who is he at his core when his backup is against the wall?
Yeah.
And he says, no, not today. This isn't happening today. Not on my watch. Or, when he's beating that one, Earth Force terrorist, and it's like, no more you, no more Night Watch, no more.
Yeah.
That's signature Sheridan. And it's like I said, it's not so much of a speech, but a declaration. I thought that counted for me.
I think so. I mean, it's kind of a fine line, right? What is a quote and what's a speech? Mm-hmm. And I tried to go for like the longer quotes, if you will, if they weren't in fact speeches.
Yeah.
But when Sheridan when he's got his back against the wall, he stays true to himself. And really, I think this is just a reflection of who Joe Straczynski is.
Did you find it interesting when you were watching these speeches and then extrapolating what you knew from becoming Superman, and now seeing these speeches with the motivation that they came from which they came?
Damn.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, is it any wonder?
Yeah. I mean, it's there's another thing that I read. I think Joe said this, or did Sharon say this? Basically, it's if you fall, make sure that you get up 2 inches higher than 2 inches higher off the ground than when you landed. There's something along that line.
I like that. I also like, he keeps repeating it in the close of the book. It doesn't matter like who you are, where you came from, all of that doesn't matter. Get up, keep fighting. That's a new mantra for me. I'm stealing that hardcore.
Oh, he's a fighter, and all of his characters are fighters in some way or another. So that's where I just saw that in one crystallized moment, even if the speech or the sentiment was short, it was everything that John Sheridan was, and the reason why Earth Force was so terrified of him, because it wasn't martyrdom that they were worried about. It was the fact that his conviction was greater than martyrdom.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even if he had died, that would not matter as much as him speaking and living his truth to the very end.
That's why they wanted him broken instead of
exactly, because they could have killed him easily a long time ago before they did, but no, they wanted to break him and they couldn't. Suck on that.
All right, so before we jump into your next speech, let's take a look at the comments.
Yes.
Let's see. So going all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
John Bowersox loves tossing in some Cobra Kai trivia, so I'm going to read it. He says, "Happy birthday, Billy Zabka, aka Johnny Lawrence."
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! He's like both he and Ralph Macchio were like in their 50s. God bless them; they look great.
Oh, John has some interesting advice about Reddit. Mm-hmm. He said, "Be careful. My friend tried to promote his stream, and he got a lot of trolls. We're hoping that by creating a community that's not just about promoting the Zocalo here on YouTube, we can maybe circumvent a little bit of that. We also have approval and disapproval moderation of posts. So if you don't see your post, like if you make a post and you don't see it right away, it's because Norm and I have to approve of it."
Right. Yeah, I mean, you have to put security checkpoints in place, or else trolls run rampant. But I think that's part and parcel when you stick your neck out in social media, that you're going to run into a lot of trolls. Trolls just do it because they like watching the world burn. So
they've got nothing better to do, and I feel bad for them because that really is their hobby. That's what they spend their time doing, and what a sad life.
You know what, though? I don't, because Babylon 5 isn't such a large target anymore, I don't think that trolling for Babylon 5 fans or against Babylon 5 fans is a big thing, because,
probably not.
They're not really getting kind of like a rise out of like the public consciousness in a way.
No, that's true. And that is an advantage for us with a show that is 25 plus odd years old now. I think really Star Wars and Star Trek, who are probably getting the worst of the trolls. And what can you do? Because they're creating the newest content. We are not a target. And you know what? That's going to make our lives easier.
Right. And neither of us would step to any of these type of trolls and engage them, because
I don't have time for that. And I know you don't either.
But I also believe that Babylon 5 fans, we're kind of we're a rare breed. And I think that, and not to insult like any of the other fandoms out there, but if you're a Babylon 5 fan, then you are a fighter like Joe. You fight to meet other Babylon 5 fans, right? Because we keep the torch alive.
Yes, and I think you can say this of sci-fi, generally speaking, is you have to have. Most sci-fi fans are thoughtful, but then you go on the internet and you see that there's definitely the other breed. But for Babylon 5, if you're going to follow a 5-year arc story like we did in the 90s, you had to have a certain level of intelligence to keep going with that. The average person may or may not.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to puff us up too much. We're not geniuses or anything, but it takes a certain person to stick with the kind of story like that back then and keep it going today. That's what I'm saying.
I love what Slice of Sci-Fi said. She said, Bo and Mac. Now I understand Sheridan a little better. What do you mean? Did you see that smile? I'd crawl out of my way through hell and through 10 miles of solid rock to see that smile again.
You're so right. You're so right. I mean, Delen's smile melts every heart, I think. Oh my gosh. Speaking of which, I was thinking for next week, as I was researching for today's show, there's so many good Delen speeches.
And somebody on Twitter, I think it was Terry, and she said that, what about Delen? What about Ivanova? And of course, Jakar. Don't even get me started there. I might run a 3-part show on Jakar.
But should we do Delen next week?
We could. Down. Yeah, we can. We can go through like our signature speeches from Babylon 5, at least for some of the main characters who have signature speeches.
Well, Delen's got more than a few, so I think we could make a show just out of hers alone.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I say we do it. Let's cut our thumbs on that. All right.
Set.
So next speech is yours.
Okay. Well, before we get to that, I have I'm reading comments. I'm just like, oh, Terry, this is interesting that what you just said a while back about what Sheridan said to Delen right after he does. Will you stand together? Because he says, I'll never leave you, Delen. Not if the whole universe stood between us. Only he does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so cute and romantic, but at the same time, oh gosh, Terry, I totally am with you on that because it hurts.
It's not his choice. Technically,
no, he would be with her till the very end, till the end of time if he could. Sure.
Yeah. And he would see her again beyond the rim, as we will see everyone else.
It's true. They'll be in the place where no shadows fall.
That's right. Oh my God. Stop.
I know. And the way she presses his cheek and I ship them so hard. God damn.
Stop.
Epic romance. Okay. So the next one, how about another classic? You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. We've talked about this ad nauseum, so we don't have to go on and on about this, but Sheridan and Kosh had a lot of moments. And one of our favorites is where Sheridan confronts Kosh about the Vorlons not getting involved in the fight against the shadows.
Right.
So Kosh says, it's not that time. And Sheridan says, and who decides that time? You? You put me in this position. You asked me to fight this damn war. Well, it's about time you let me fight it my way. How many people have already died fighting this war of yours, huh? How many more will die before you come down off that mountain and get involved? Ships, colonies, whole worlds are being destroyed out there and you do nothing. How many more? How many more, Kosh? How many more dead before you're satisfied, huh?
So good. It's so good.
Boom.
Disobedient. Up yours.
Up yours. That also made the TikTok.
But again, this is, that signature, again, not technically a speech, but a great moment for Sheridan and maybe a speech against Kosh. A speech for Kosh.
I mean, honestly, taking on Kosh in and of itself is an act. That takes some cojones.
I was thinking about this particular speech. I was when I was prepping, and I loved it when Sheridan said, go ahead and kill me. It doesn't matter. My own government's trying to kill me, so I'm dead either way.
Yes.
So just get this over
with.
with.
He says that right before what I quoted. Yeah.
So I'm dead either way. So
right. And I mean, he has nothing to lose. His back is against the wall.
Exactly.
And I love that shot because his back is against the
wall. Yeah. But what I love about this moment is that it parallels very much Sheridan's and Kosh's journey. They're almost similar because Sheridan risks everything just to get Kosh into the war, or to get the Vorlons into the war.
Right.
Kosh, in a similar sense, risks everything so that Sheridan has a fighting chance.
Right. So, I mean, he makes the ultimate sacrifice.
So in that sense, I think that there's some part of Kosh that I think that when he touches Sheridan's consciousness, he understands that, okay, obedience isn't the only way, because disobedience is what actually became the catalyst for that moment. Disobedience from Sheridan, and then disobedience from Kosh.
Yeah, so check that out. Sheridan is teaching a Vorlon something, and the Vorlons are supposed to be so much more infinitely wise than us. But bam, mic drop.
Like impudence, bam. Disobedience, bam. He's
up yours, bam.
I can see that, like, Joe mouthing off to like one of his relatives, as a kid, and all of a sudden his relatives, it could have been Charles, it could have been Sophia, and just smacking him and say, look, you're sit down, shut up, do as you're told.
I could definitely see that.
Right, and then all of a sudden, no, and then I find that's the fighter in both of them, and Kosh is like, okay, if I do this, I'm putting myself at risk.
Right.
Okay.
Oh. The other thing that comes to mind is when he decided to mouth off to the nun.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because he felt like, well, I'm doomed either way, so why not?
Right. I can either mouth off to her, or I'm going to freeze to death selling chocolate bars.
You want some chocolate bars?
Yeah. So
I love how that ties back later on when poor Joe has the tooth problem, drowns it in a bucket of ice, and he gets his numb tongue. Yeah. And then circles back to that moment. Oh, the way he ties in humor, those little threads, it's so masterful. Gosh, he's so inspirational. I just love that man.
I hear what you're saying. I'm getting so worked up right now.
I'm preaching to the choir. I know, but
because I love my next choice for my speech is something that I put on TikTok. And again, it's another one of those signature Sheridan moments where he's like, you know what? My back's up against the it's funny because as a diplomat, the son of a diplomat, and someone who's been through, the Shadow War and now the Civil War, and now he's president of the Interstellar Alliance, he can't get a grasp of why are all these factions fighting me now, right? And it's that moment in the chamber where he goes, "That's enough." I love
that. I love it when Sheridan blows up. I've said that before. I'll say it again.
We love shouty Sheridan.
We do.
He goes, "Now we
then the gravelly voice really comes out.
And we will hold up to that promise. And damn you for making me do it. And damn me for agreeing to it. And damn all of us to hell, because that's exactly where we're going. You talked about peace. You didn't want peace. You talked about cooperation. You didn't want cooperation. You want war. Is that it? Well, you want a war? Well, you've got a war."
I'm so glad you recited that one because you're so good at it.
Oh, I love that speech. It's just because, you know what? F it. He's like, F it.
I mean, okay, if you make Sheridan flip his lid that hardcore, it's serious.
Yeah. I mean, he's
commanded your attention.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think it's a speech or just a rant, or am I crazy, or do I just love yelling?
I'm not so sure if it's a speech. Yeah. But again, it's that loose term where it's a longer line of dialogue, and it's a memorable moment for sure because it's shouty, because it's so angry. This is probably ranty Sheridan.
I love ranty Sheridan. I love it when
I do too.
Crazy.
Yeah. Side note, this is not a speech, but one of my other favorite ones is when he's sitting with Delenn and he's just, why is it that every time things are going good and everything's going great, life decides to kick you in the butt?
But what?
What?
But
but, nothing. You but, he or she but.
I got the damnedest gaps in your vocabulary.
I love that scene so much.
And now you sound like a motorboat. Motor butt?
Motor butt? Oh, I don't think I like the sound of that.
Talk about this. She got completely disarmed, took the teeth right out of his anger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's like, no. It's like, I built up a good mad. You're not going to get away. Remember he said?
Oh, that was the next thought I had is the way she totally disarms him in that moment. Because doesn't he say something like, I came in here to confront you.
Yeah. And he's like, I built up a good mad all day.
and how dare you tear me down by agreeing with me?
Yep. That's Sheridan.
That's when you know you've had your match.
Yep.
You've met your match.
All right, Char. So what did you guys think of? Do you think that Shouty Sheridan is that your favorite Sheridan? Is pontificating Sheridan your favorite Sheridan?
Yeah, quick poll with our listeners here. Do you like Shouty Sheridan?
Well, we'll see. We need to know. We will see. So, what's next up on your list, Char?
Well, should we stay on the shouty vibe?
I say so. Give it a shout.
Okay. Well, actually, we might have run out of shouty.
You know what I need to do, though, for the shout, though? I need to make a version of him with a goatee, because it just doesn't work without the goatee.
I was thinking about that when I was doing the TikTok okay, we need Sheridan in a suit. We need him with a beard. We need the different, stages of Sheridan. We need some custom action figures, yo.
Is it... So instead of shouty Sheridan, how about sooty Sheridan?
Snooty Sheridan? Is that what you said?
Sooty Sheridan. Sheridan in a suit.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hold on, John. Hold on. We're getting there.
I have another one.
All right.
And maybe this will make a transition is bathrobe Sheridan, which I really wish I would have maybe kept some Barbie clothes or something from my childhood, because then I could have put him in a bathrobe for Sergeant Slaughter.
Note everyone, Barbie clothes from childhood.
Barbie clothes. Send me your Barbie clothes if you have them, please. I'll pay shipping. But one of my favorite moments, and it's not so much a speech as it is just kind of an ongoing piece of dialogue, it is in season 5, though. It's where Jacquard delivers the draft of the Declaration of Independence, and Sheridan opens it up and says, "Read it to me." And so Sheridan starts reading it, and then it transitions to Jacquard reading his words. Oh, is that a moment?
And I love how he kind of defers to Jacquard, and he goes, "I don't have his eloquence," and
right. And maybe he doesn't, but he definitely puts in a solid effort.
But I love it when Delinda goes, she just puts her hand underneath it. She goes, "Read it."
Yeah.
I'm like, of course.
What's he gonna do? Say no?
Yeah, I love that. She's just like, it was such a gentle, do what I say. Just just do it.
Yeah, give me your interpretation, John. Come on.
So lovely. I love Mira.
Yeah. So I don't know if we need to read that speech so much, but that did make my list. Because I love that moment.
Of Principles. Yeah.
Yes. That I don't know, something about that, just the worldview and the way Jacquard especially reads it. Sorry, John, but Jacquard, because it's his words, delicious and inspirational. Definitely hit me hard, watching that for the first time.
Well, that's kind of like some of Joe's greatest writing, and I would have loved to have read the improved version that we never got a chance to see.
That they all had to re-sign. Oh God, Jacquard.
Right. It's better. How could that be? How could it be better than that?
And then they read it. It's better.
It's better. Yeah. I would love to know. But
we don't get to know how.
Yeah, I would love to know if it was actually written out, or if that was just kind of like a tease.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably written out. I mean, Joe didn't allow much for improvisation.
No, I mean like the whole the new Declaration of Principles, if that was written out.
I imagine so. Yeah. It had to have been, right?
That'd be super cool if that was somewhere one prop that had.
I would love to have a copy of the Declaration of Principles. I would hang that on my wall.
So they
fine china.
So B5 Books plug, because B5 Books is awesome.
Yes.
Also, who produced the B5 Encyclopedia. And I have another reference that's also B5 Books for my next speech. B5 Books actually produced that a few years back, and it's probably one of the most sought after B5 Books collectibles that's out there, because I think it was limited to 500. It was printed and framed and signed by Joe. Yeah.
Oh, and I missed out on that. I don't think I had quite returned to Babylon 5 fandom at that point.
There was a copy that went up on There was a copy that was returned to them from a private collection that they advertised, and it was just going for more Centauri ducats that I could afford. Yeah.
And if you can't afford it, I definitely can't afford it.
It was pretty up there. So
I'm sure people are paying insane amount of money for those types of things because that is a true collectible. They limited that number and they're never going to make it again.
Yeah.
And Babylon 5 books, their stuff is really well done.
Yeah.
But it comes at a price. High price.
It does, especially if you're collecting it like after the fact. But that segues me into my quote.
Do it.
And it comes from this book, from B5 Books, but in purple, I'm stunning.
Nice bookmark.
Char bookmark. So,
I love how he's just peeping out there.
He's like, hello.
Just kind of staring everybody down. So why aren't you reading?
This is from, if you can hear the rattling, pardon me. This is from page 75, and it actually is a segment called Sheridan.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is the speech that he recorded for David, for his son.
Oh, this is on my list too. This is one of my very favorites.
It's
so touching.
It's Sheridan, pretty much Sheridan's personality in a speech.
I love it.
And it's also kind of like what his father taught him, and now he's teaching to his unborn son.
Yep.
From time to time, you will make mistakes. They are inevitable, and some of those mistakes will be huge. What matters is that you learn from them. There is nothing wrong with falling down as long as you end up just 2 inches higher when you pick yourself off the floor. At times, you may end up far away from home. You may not be sure where you belong anymore, but home is always there because home is not a place. It is wherever your passion takes you. As you continue on your path, you will lose some friends and gain new ones. The process is painful, but often necessary. They will change, and you will change, because life is change. From time to time, they must find their own way, and that way may not be yours. Enjoy them for what they are, and remember them for what they were. There's not much left, except that I really do believe, that sooner or later, no matter what happens, things do work out. We have hard times, we suffer, we lose loved ones. The road is never easy. It was never meant to be easy. But in the long run, if you stay true to what you believe, things do work out. Always be willing to fight for what you believe in. It doesn't matter if 1,000 people agree with you or one person agrees with you. It doesn't matter if you stand completely alone. Fight for what you believe. How Sheridan is that? And how Joe is that?
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, the initials JS are there for a reason.
Right?
Yeah. Come on now. We know. Yeah. And of course, ends that with the piece of advice his dad gave him, and then he's giving it to his son. Never start a fight, but always finish it.
Right? Yeah. That's a very signature Joe piece of writing, because when I was watching Changeling, there was a moment at the very beginning of the movie where Christine Collins' son got into a fight at school, and she said, "What did I tell you about fighting? Never start a fight, but always finish it." And when her son said that, I cried tears of joy, laughter, like insider joking. It was just like, that's Joe. That's Joe's touch.
It is. That's also a reminder to me that I need to watch Changeling already. Dang it. But not enough time in the day, man.
I love that that's on a data crystal for, again, his son and Delen's son. And I would have loved to have seen like a hologram version of that, say in Legend of the Rangers, if they actually found David Sheridan somewhere out there, or if David Sheridan became a character and he was at his darkest moment, he plays that, and draws strength from that one speech that goes, "My father always has this one speech that has always gotten me through the darkest times, the toughest times."
Oh, yeah. That would have been so cool.
Right. And honestly, then seeing Bruce Boxleitner in hologram form as Sheridan again would have been mind-blowing to fans.
Totally. I really wish that we could have gotten David Sheridan anything, honestly.
Yeah.
That was one of the big missing pieces of the Babylon 5 universe, if you ask me.
Yeah, but it's if people like went forward with it and created their own fan fiction, of which they have, and these are moments that these kind of speeches that tie back into him, or maybe he's trying to fight his way through if he was in fact assaulted by the keeper, how he fought against the Drock.
Yeah,
that's that moment where it's like, what if it was kind of like that same moment where he's at his rock bottom, and then all of a sudden he found that crystal again. And that's what happened. He was able to fight his way back.
Be good.
Yeah.
Be good. So. Yeah. If there's any Babylon 5 in the future, somehow, and I know it's impossible, but, humor me. I do hope it's a continuation with David Sheridan, not a rehash of what we already have.
So that was my big Sheridan speech, but I know we have a couple left that we can get to.
Yeah. Speaking of big speeches, how about a super big one? The "We Have Come Home" speech.
That's signature.
It is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. These are your sons, your daughters, whose loyalties have never wavered, whose beliefs in this alliance has forced us to take extraordinary means for justice, for peace, for the future. We have come home.
It's so big. The Civil War.
It's a reminder too. Like, we're all humans here. We're all children of Earth.
Right.
We're fighting for Earth and its best interests.
It's almost as if, like, you can hear something like that happening, like in the American Civil War, where somebody was trying to clarify, look, I understand that we're fighting a philosophical war, but we're all sons and daughters of the United States of America at that time. Yeah. So when he comes home, but the big thing about this is that I almost feel like this was more important, because when General Haig made reference to it, when Major Ryan made reference to it, it's like every single person that you kill in this war is personal. Somebody. Yeah. At the very beginning, when Major Ryan's like, did you know the commander of the Roanoke? Well, I did. I mean, he has an Abyssinian cat named Max. Every single person that you kill in this war is somebody that you may know, or may know somebody who knows them. It's all personal. So ending the Civil War and saying, like, look, we're not the enemy. We were never the enemy.
Right. Yeah.
We were put in an extraordinary situation where we had to fight back, but we were fighting back against this regime that poisoned Earth.
Right. Yes. It's good stuff. It's just so epic in that moment too, because this is where it all hits endgame.
And it's not well done.
I actually wasn't going for that, but I went there.
But it's not lost. I think the funny thing is with that particular storyline of Babylon 5, it's not lost, I think, on a lot of us who are watching the political climate of this time, that there are a lot of similarities. And we've said this before, we are waiting for our John Sheridan to return. And
we need to take on President Clark.
Right. And like, no more Night Watch, no more Earth Force, no more President Clark, no more of his cronies, no more. And I think that that's where, out there in that social space, again, like when Sheridan said, how do we fight back? Because you have to say no more than they can say yes.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it's exhausting, but the fight is real, and we are in a fight right now.
Right. So not to get too over politicized, but this is why I think John Sheridan is such a beloved character, because he's not your archetypal space explorer. He is very human. He's put into extraordinary circumstances. He is a lot of times fighting these battles with his hands tied behind his back or limited in some way. But that's, I think, why he was chosen to be this fighter, is because he knows how to win against unwinnable situations. General Lefcourt said that in Endgame.
Yes. And I mean, okay, not to discredit John Sheridan, because he's a brilliant fighter. He's a well-trained soldier. But I think this story works, as do a lot of stories. A lot of heroes work because they're somewhat ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Sure.
He doesn't have superpowers.
Nope.
He's not a superhero, but he is finding a way to get it done through the brilliance of his mind, for thinking out of the box, for being able to take the risks he has to take when it counts the most.
And he, like that quote said, no matter if one person or 100 people agree with you,
fight.
You have to fight. You have to fight for what you believe, because I think at the end of the day, when the bill comes due, as they say, if you can say that you fought with conviction and truth in your heart, then there's nothing that can be stripped away from you.
Exactly. They can't take that away from you.
Right. You can't take away. Dignity is probably the one last thing that people will fight for that kind of truth, and Sheridan, most of the time, he was fighting for the dignity of his convictions, of who he is, know, and that becomes the core of why people have flocked to him under his leadership.
That cult of personality, as Garibaldi put it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's kind of the more, I guess, maybe extreme-ish person of it. But yeah, you see that in somebody and you say, yeah, I believe in what this person is doing.
Well, there were a lot of issues like that in season 5. I mean, Jakar was being flooded and plagued with a cult of personality. So was Sheridan. I mean,
Sheridan it was season 4, really, where that was going down.
Well, I mean, but remember, that's also with, yeah, you're right. You're in season 4, but they all they all became, I guess, larger than themselves. Like Londo, his rise to emperor, like that became more of a cult of personality for himself. Jakar became a religious figure.
Yeah, it really blew up for Jakar in season 5. Yeah, it kind of transferred from Sheridan, who I guess maybe like he settles into his place as the president of the Alliance, but then Jakar, bam, exploding with his book and his followers.
I thought that scene was in season 5 where that one lady says, "No, you're him. You're Sheridan. You came back." That season 4.
That's season 4.
Okay,
that's where he and Garibaldi are having some serious differences.
Oh yeah, that's when he threw a punch and he's like, "You get that one for free."
Yeah.
That's
when that happened.
Yeah, rough. All right, I think we have time for a couple more.
Okay. Oh, let's get a comment from Terry Lynn says, we could write the David Sheridan story. That's not a terrible idea. Boy, I would love to. I mean, I have ideas.
You've been trying to break into that. Why not?
Yeah, well, maybe I'll play around with that, see what I can come up with. She also mentions the Battle of the Line speech. Yes. Now, interestingly enough, I didn't put that on my list, but that's a very good candidate. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm all about right now.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there's so many more that I have on this list.
Okay.
There's 2 that I really need to send out though. Okay. One is talking about rain hitting the roof in Messages from Earth.
Stop.
No.
So good. Go.
I love it.
All right.
I love when he's telling Delenn that story. It shares a little bit about him. It shows that he and Delenn are getting a little more personal. There's a lot of things going on there. But ever since I've heard that speech, I have really gained an appreciation for the sound of rain hitting the roof. It is relaxing. It's one of my favorite sounds too.
Oh yeah. I think that in some of like the white noise generators you can get for your smart device, you can get like a rain generator, and I get rain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. The only thing better is a cat purr.
Actually, a rabbit teeth chatter purr is pretty good too.
I'll take your word on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I have for those of you who don't know, I have a bunny, and when she's really, really relaxed, when Pippin's really, really relaxed, she just kind of chatters, her teeth clack. And there's a very ASMR effect to that. Yeah.
All right. I wonder if there's stuff on YouTube where we could hear this.
Oh, totally.
I'll have to look when the show's over.
Go for bunny or rabbit teeth purring or teeth chattering. It's hilarious.
Okay. Cool.
Slice of Sci-Fi says horses snuffling. Yeah.
We've all got our thing, right?
Yeah, right. One of the
That's
features
great.
that I'm sure that it hit your list because it was in your TikTok was it was an early Earth president that once said the Abraham
it's on
Lincoln
my list.
speech. Yeah. You have that printed out? Would you like to read that?
You know what? I don't have that one word for word out. There's a couple that I don't, and that was one that I didn't just because I always just quote, it was an early Earth president, Abraham Lincoln. Sorry.
You know what's funny? It's like, I don't know, maybe Slice of Sci-Fi can shed some light on this, but I love that Abraham Lincoln was referenced in this speech. And then the person who the alias that was doing the Narn Underground Railroad was Abraham Lincoln.
Lincoln, yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, okay, there's a lot
Again, those little threads, right?
Yeah.
Ivanova's obviously heard that speech.
I mean, I love that Abraham Lincoln speech for the sheer fact that it's not so much that it's a great speech, because it is, but he was talking about meeting the Dalai Lama as the son of a diplomat does. And, he's talking about the plums, the red ones, not the, he's very specific about that.
Yes.
It's a very weird thing. Like, carrots, steamed, not boiled.
Yes.
Those kind of like weird idiosyncrasies of his character. But what I love about that speech is that he says that this is what I do when I change commands. And it's like his lucky rabbit foot, or some type of, like when sports ball athletes, they slap like a sign or do something superstitious. It's his superstition to get that speech done as he's changing command. And I find that funny, because at that time, that's kind of like where he's at when it comes to these greater powers in the world, the spiritualism of the Dalai Lama, or the superstitiousness of what he does. This is way before this galactic upheaval happens, with the shadows versus the Vorlons that changes him, right?
Yeah.
Black, not red. You're right, Terry. Black, not red. Black, not red. Steamed, not boiled.
Indeed. Yeah, it's good stuff.
And
it's very good stuff.
Was that a Janet Greek episode? Because he did mention orange in that.
Oh, I don't remember off the top of my head, so don't quote me, but I think it is.
I think he mentioned freshly squeezed orange juice also in that.
Something about oranges, because he's just totally giddy about it. Oh, I haven't had one in 3 years. Being in deep space, you don't get these luxuries.
Fresh orange.
Right. And then she made it that running gag to have that bowl of oranges all the time. And specifically with Janet Greek directed episodes, you get at least one close-up of those oranges.
And I believe in Geometry of Shadows, was it? When the Techno Mages came, he had an orange blossom at the end?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so it definitely becomes a thing by then.
So we have time for probably one more reference, Char, if you want to fit one in.
Oh, boy. Okay. Down to the wire. It's got to be a good one, right? I mean, we've already gone through a lot of good ones. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go for a deep cut.
All right.
This is one that I came across while doing research. It wasn't something that immediately came to mind, but it's where where to go now? It's his speech in No Surrender, No Retreat, addressing the Star Fury pilots about going to combat with our fellow humans.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll read this one because I did not remember this right away. Of all the missions we've flown, this will be the most difficult. It's one thing to defend ourselves as we did last year, but to initiate combat against our own forces is a hard one. I can only tell you that we take this action with the utmost reluctance. If there were any other way, we'd take it. If there isn't one, we'll do what we can to minimize casualties on the other side. But the job of a soldier is to destroy the enemy and come home alive. To that end, do what you have to do.
And that's when he was soldiery, Sheridan.
Yes, and that's when they're really going head-to-head against Earth Alliance forces.
Yeah,
that are loyal to Clark.
He had to take their emotional content out of the equation. He had to say, like, he had to be black and white. He had to kind of polarize that situation, because a soldier's duty is to execute their orders.
Yes.
Right. And if his pilots got caught in the crosshairs of their own morality, then they would hesitate in that moment.
Exactly. And 1 second of hesitation is probably going to put you dead.
Yep. Yeah. So he has he goes, I know the morality of the situation, but I want you to come home. to us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? I want them to go home too.
To our side.
But only one side's going to win here.
It kind of consolidates a few things that we've mentioned already, just how, like in Severed Dreams, we have Major Ryan saying, look, this war is personal. We know the people we're fighting against. Mm-hmm. And then Soldiery Sheridan saying, look, I want you alive. I want you to come home. Do what you have to do, even though we're going to try and minimize the loss of life.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of like where obviously Babylon 5 is very famous for kind of like exploring that moral gray area, I guess.
Certainly. Yeah, and there's a lot of it, but in this particular moment, you're right. He has to make it black or white so that his soldiers can focus.
Yeah, no gray in that particular reference. So,
no, you can't.
So I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, Char, but we're running out of time for the show.
And we need to talk about some of the changes that we've made and why we've made them. So shall we just delve right into that?
Yeah, let's jump into it. I'd like to jump into that real quick and then take care of any comments before the end of the show. So
yeah, I'm sorry, guys. We haven't gotten as into the comments as we have normally, but we do appreciate you chiming in.
Absolutely. So when Char and I were taking a look at the balance of our first season, there were a couple things that we really wanted to try out. And for all intents and purposes, we just felt like the Facebook group, albeit that it's easy to advertise in that group, it's probably not the best, for me at least, for both Char and I, it's not really like the best platform for that kind of engagement. Now, we don't know specifically if Reddit's going to be that, but I do feel that without all of the distractions of the advertisements and people just kind of like signing in here and there or getting invited here and there, I feel like if we can find a really good platform, and I do believe it's going to be Reddit, where we can funnel people that are really interested in being in Babylon 5 and the Zocalo, I think that that's where the better of our conversations are going to be able to be made.
Right. There might not be as many posts, but the quality is going to be up. At least that's the hope.
Yeah.
And also, we had a lot of people saying to us over time, look, I'm not on Facebook. Do you have an alternative? Mm-hmm. Which was something that I could relate to, because to be honest, I mean, my participation in the Facebook group was really kind of off and on because I wouldn't check into Facebook very much. It's been about a 3-year process of me kind of like personally breaking away from Facebook. I've been just really kind of disheartened by the way that platform has, like, what it's become and what it's done to people and how it really has not been constructive for a lot of internet conversation or commerce or any of that. And especially with the political situation now being what it is, if you're following news, Zuckerberg has said some things. And that just solidifies my belief that Facebook is not a great platform. And it was my choice to want to leave that all behind. Now, I know that's tough. I know for a lot of people, that's the way you talk to a lot of people that you otherwise wouldn't be able to keep in touch with. I get that. And I'm not telling you to quit Facebook if you don't want to.
Sure.
But we wanted an alternative that was open to everybody because of just how polarized Facebook has gotten in and of itself, much less, everything else.
Now, I find that the curating that I do on Twitter is a lot more, I guess, fulfilling as a social media curator, because at least there's a lot of real-time interaction there, and you can filter that a lot better than you can filter a lot of things that are going on with Facebook. So that's why we're keeping the Twitter thread alive still, and we've changed our Twitter address to Zocalo Livecast, because that's who we are.
And if you were already following us, you don't need to follow a new account because it changed the name already and you're still following us.
Right.
But if you're going to follow us newly, look for that handle.
And the only thing that we really changed is that we want to hashtag everything now with Val2U, because Val2U that's who we are, and that's how you can filter ZocaloCast's feed if you want to do that. If you want to promote it that way.
Right. We did have hashtag B5 Primetime for a short while, and that never really took off. I think Val2 is going to be a little more concise and representative. Right? Yeah. Also, way back when, we had the idea that this would be just one of many things in the Zcast network. You and I have come to the conclusion that we do not have enough time to build that. We're focusing on this. It's going to be the Zocalo.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're kind of, and we're not going to say that Reddit's going to be the end all be all, or TikTok or Twitter. It's just that we're trying a bunch of different things, and we can't thank everybody enough for, especially, you, Terry, Slice of Sci-Fi, and John for sticking with us. Yes. For anyone who wants to follow us, because all the notes are in the new show notes, and the links are down below. So please,
down below.
Down below. So share, and subscribe to this, because we are growing. I mean, our YouTube subscribership is growing.
Yeah, it's nice to see.
It's nice to have kind of like a modern platform with TikTok, and we're going to do a lot more of that. But I'm on Twitter a lot with the Zcast stuff, or the Zocolocast stuff now, and I do like interacting there, because it's just we have a good following there, and there's a lot of other people that follow our feed and respond to it. J. Michael Straczynski has even responded to our feed, which is fantastic.
Yeah, the Great Maker is on Twitter. How can you quit that hell site because of that alone? I mean, that's just it. In the way that a lot of people can't quit Facebook, I can't quit Twitter, because there's actually things that I really do care about on there. And as far as Zocalo goes, we've got a great following, and we've got a few people who are with us tonight who, that's your platform of choice too. And so now that we've built that, we don't want to take that away. We're going to stick around on Twitter. And then as far as TikTok, we're going to kind of throw some things out there and see what sticks.
So Slice of Sci-Fi threw a little shade at us, which is awesome. Hey, if I can manage 5 podcasts plus 5 more websites while being unemployed and having a bad cold, what are you doing, slackers?
Working full time.
Drinking heavily.
And drinking.
I'm lazy.
Unfortunately,
I'm straight up lazy. So.
Well, my excuse is just, a complete change of paradigm in how I have to manage my time working the job that I have. And when I'm working it just, I can't manage my time the way I used to. I used to work from home. I worked for home for 2 years, ran my own business, and it was fantastic, because if something needed to be done around the house, oh heck, I could get that started, and then I could get back to doing work, and I could work very efficiently. Now my time is bracketed like it is for most people. I get it. Along with an LA commute of about half an hour one way.
I think she's lovingly trolling us, Char.
Yeah, I know. But I just want to explain that, I feel like sometimes I've been run ragged in terms of managing my time, just because there's so much that I want to do as opposed to what I actually have time to do.
Yeah, I know. I get it. We all gotta.
Because believe me, if I didn't have to work, if money were not an issue, I would just do what I wanted. I would do all sorts of podcasts and content for us. And I mean, oh my gosh, so many projects. I'd be writing that David Sheridan story is what I'd be doing.
We're all moths drawn to different flames, in a way.
Forced into capitalism.
This makes it all easier.
It does. It takes some of the pain away.
Well, at least it makes it a little bit more bearable. But, I appreciate, anyone who puts out a podcast, anyone who puts out this type of content, because it's a commitment of time, it's a commitment of passion, and you are putting yourself out there. I mean, there's an old saying that, you can stick your neck out like a tall blade of grass, but that's the first one that gets cut by the lawnmower. So, it's or weed or something like to that effect. Okay, so Terry Lynn, Colorado says, before we wrap things up, on your links below, would you guys mind letting us know your use of Reddit and TikTok? That would be helpful and good for others.
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah, what we're using Reddit and TikTok for. Now, Reddit's a little bit more of more of a conservative platform, where it's just straight up chat and or forum chat. And TikTok is a little bit more of a little bit hipper, more dynamic type of video interaction.
It's a video platform. Yeah, it's not I don't want to say it's kind of like Instagram. You can tell more stories. It's a little more like Vine.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a marriage between that and another app that was called Musical.ly. And the two have converged into TikTok, and it's just cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can compile clips. There's all sorts of effects that you can put on it. It's fun. And we're basically going to do fun stuff on there, like with the action figures. We're probably going to put some memorable quotes, and we'll do our stupid, crappy recitations of it on there. So if you're just there for goofy fun, that's what we're going to do with that. And then we'll have the serious conversations on Reddit.
Yeah.
And Reddit's basically just a message board community.
Right. And you don't have to, the reason why we're on Reddit is because you don't have to sift through all of the distractions of Facebook. Right. And for me personally, like you said, Char, I just can't, I can't be part of that platform anymore for a variety of reasons. Many of which are either personal or political.
Right. Same. And I know that we're not the only ones. And so for the moment, Reddit's it, because we were talking about a message board type of format, and creating our own maybe would be the most ideal thing, but a lot of people would not follow us there. There's already a lot of people on Reddit, and it's a platform that's ready and waiting for us. So we're going to see how that goes. So please join us there. We hope you will, and we'll populate it with some good stuff.
We'll see what happens in a year, but also, share your ideas with us there, get some conversation going, and then, we can build the community that we've always wanted to build and continue to build.
Yeah. Right? What's loved endures.
So that's it for this show. And you know what? I was concerned that we would lose some viewership, but right now we are probably at one of our higher viewerships for our live streams, which is fantastic, which means we didn't really lose anything.
So we appreciate you guys joining us for our new evening time, and we're hoping more people will join us, because I would like to think, and I hope it is for a lot of people, that it's a more convenient time.
I think so. I mean, it is for us.
It is for us, but also, I think Sunday morning, a lot of people, if they're religious, they're going to church. A lot of people are running their errands for the weekend.
It's football season.
And football. If you're watching football, you're not going to tune into a live stream you can watch later. I get it. So that all said, thank you all for joining us. We hope that we can have even bigger numbers and participation next week. And so until then, everybody.
So this is Norm, and this is Char, and we're signing off. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Zocalo. And until next time, be seeing you.